Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to Domain de L'Aurage. We're in the Côtes Castillion, a little bit different today. We're probably about 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes away from Saint-Emilion, so just on the east side. And we are welcomed. I'm very, very privileged to be welcomed by the owner here, Lulu Mejaville, yes. He's the owner of Domain de L'Aurage with his wife Caroline. And you may not know the history of the family of Mejaville, but it's really interesting. Could you just explain a little bit about the history?
Absolutely. The first domain of the family is called Tertre Rotebeuf, and it's located in Saint-Emilion. And it's a family domain. It belongs to my grandfather on my mom's side a long time ago. And back to the 70s, my parents were, and I was with them, and we were in Paris. We were living in Paris, and they decided to take over the domain. So they started the first vintage in 1978.
Well, my birthday. Good year.
Okay, good year. And then after 10 years, they developed the business, and we bought le domaine Roc de Cambe in Côtes de Bourg and Domaine de Cambe in Bordeaux. And in 2007, my wife Caroline and I, we decided to buy a new domain in Côtes de Castillion. So as you said, it's very, very close to Saint-Emilion. Actually, we are on the Domaine de L'Aurage. It's on the border of on the frontier between Saint-Emilion and Castillion, very, very close to Saint-Emilion. And we bought a domain called L'Aurage. It's a 22 hectares domain in one block.
Okay.
So it was a very homogeneous terroir, very nice presentation. It's a good, nice countryside, nice slopes and hills. Yeah. So it's a good spot to produce good wine.
It's one of my wife's favorite wines. So we're really privileged to be able to have this wine in our packages. So let's go for a tasting. Here we go. Good nose there. I love the nose of
L'Aurage 2018. Nice vintage, very good vintage.
Yeah.
Close to 19 and 2020 in terms of weather condition. Soft winter, low temperature, but not very low temperature in the winter, pretty soft. Very wet spring. We have to fight against disease about fungus in 1918, and then very dry and hot summer. The difference between 18, 19 and 20 is on the three vintages we had some rain just before the harvest. But in 18, the rains were really late, and they didn't have they didn't get through the earth, through the vines and through the grapes. So in 1918, we still have these little berries the day of the harvest, very tiny, very concentrated berries, and actually we can find in the smell, in the nose of this wine, that it's very concentrated. We have this. I don't know how you can describe it. Everyone has his own description, but there is this kind of like I don't know in English, but in French we said griotte. You know, it's a kind of little cherry. Yeah. And we have this smell of a little griotte concentrated. It's a little exotic also. It's pretty fresh, round, rich, long, very nice balance, and. I don't like this word exactly for our wines in general, because I prefer to produce wine with rich, opulent wine, but in the same time you have this almost a crispy character in this vintage, but it's not coming from a pure acidity. It's not something who hit your palate, with this acidity. It's still very round and rich, but you have this it's a lively mouth. I mean, you have this character, which is amazing.
Yeah, because you get a lot of the dark berries in here, but there's like an earthy kind of I wouldn't say herbs, but a kind of a
I see what you mean. It's sometimes
really distinct.
yeah.
I can't.
It's difficult to describe, but you have something a little strange, a little...
But a good strange.
Good strange. But a little new. If you compare 19 and 20, glass to glass like that, I mean, they are very difficult. They are very different. And
that's still the same characteristic of L'Aurage.
Of course. I mean, we are producing wine almost the same way, with the same... you need to have a strong style when you make wine. I mean, people need to recognize your style, recognize your wine, but also they need to be surprised by a new vintage. Clearly, 2017, 18, 19, 20, and the others, they are very different in terms of weather condition. So you need to find the characteristic of the vintage in your glass and in your wine, and you need to imagine that in 1918 this weather was dry and sunny. I mean, you need to smell it through the glass, through the wine. It's very important.
Yeah, is it the oak that gives it, because you can still taste the tannins. It's the tannins that obviously are going to let the wine keep aging over time, because you're using nearly 100% oak now.
100% new oak, but if you compare different vintages, people think that when you have some exotic character, some exotic smells, it's coming from the oak. But if you taste different vintages of L'Aurage, you see that the noises, the smells are different. So it's not coming from the oak. The oak is, we use 100% new oak to exhaust the character and the aromas of your wines, but it's not to influence or to add a special character to the wines. If you do that, it means that vintage after vintage you will have the same aromas, the same character. The oak it's how using 100% new oak is tricky, and it's difficult because you exhaust once again you exhaust the character of your wines, but you leave also your wines express by itself with his character. So it's
that's an art. You've learnt an art, because, like I say, you've always got that coming through in your wine. Yeah, like you say, every year is different, but you can taste the characteristics and style of L'Aurage. It's just but the unique.
Very often people taste our wines if it's in a blind tasting. The first thing is probably they will say that it's a Midjaville wine. So there is a strong Midjaville character, Midjaville style. Then after they have to see if it's L'Aurage or Domaine de Cambre, Roc de Cambre, or Tertre de Bœuf. So it means that we have a strong character in wines, but all our wines are very different compared to each other, or compared to a vintage to another vintage.
Did your father pass on this unique style to you?
In a way, yes, we can say that in a way. I mean, I was raised at Tertre de Bœuf in Saint-Émilion, with Tertre de Bœuf, Roc de Cambre, Domaine de Cambre, so with this style of this wine. So this is what I like, and I didn't found how can I say? I didn't have to find a different way to produce wine.
Of course.
Okay. I mean, it's if you see the label of L'Aurage, it's very similar to Tertre de Bœuf, Roc de Cambre, to the other domains. I didn't have to produce or to do something, at the opposite or completely different of the family. I mean,
it's just amazing you can get the same characteristics, same style coming through your wines. I mean, like, Roc de Bœuf is not a long way from here, but kind of on the higher plateau of Saint-Émilion.
And they are also very different. And Tertre de Bœuf has this extreme rich velvety character, because Tertre de Bœuf is located on the south slope of Saint-Émilion. It's like the vineyard is like an amphitheater, so it's much warmer than L'Aurage, and you have this. It's not creamy, because creamy people could think that it's a little heavy, but it's not the case. I mean,
I would say creamy. Some of the vintages I've had of L'Aurage I found it creamy. I think it was a 2010. the first thing that comes to mind.
But yeah, they are different. It's just that because we are on a clay and limestone terroir, the terroir who produce in general plutôt deep wine, we need to wait and to push the harvest, and we try to get actually what we call in French, we said fruit confit, un fruit confit frais. It's like almost like an over-ripeness, but still fresh, but not by the acidity, fresh by the structure. So it's sometimes it's difficult to imagine before you taste the wine that you can be that ripe, you can have this overripe character with low acidity and still a real freshness. So it's sometimes it can be it's really a question of balance, right? Right.
Amazing. I'm not going to take any more of your time. But
no, that's okay. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, for me it's a real pleasure to be tasting this wine with you, the winemaker and owner.